The Awkward Genius Podcast. Welcome to the Awkward Genius Podcast. The podcast where I practice talking better. So yesterday I did an episode and something happened at the last minute. I think I de-zoomed, so I was really far away. There was some real problem with the lighting. It's super dark, so I do apologize for all of that. I fixed those problems today, I hope. Today's subject of conversation is going to be my morning routine. Like many people, I wake up in the morning and do some things. Now, I never used to really have anything that would be considered a routine, and then I started sleeping old. What that means is I started sleeping like basically my dad when I was a kid. And since I was a kid, I considered him to be old. Except now I'm the one falling asleep in front of the TV at 9 o'clock and waking up every day at like 6:30 for absolutely no good reason. And since that has become my new normal, I have found that I enjoy and need some kind of routine in the morning. Now, I believe I probably had a routine before. This video may seem crazy to people that have an imposed routine where you have to wake up every morning at the same hour to get to work, and you've only got a certain amount of time to do all the things you got to do, and your brain works, and so you just naturally get them all done and then head off on your merry way. Now, my situation is a little bit different, so I do have to caveat that right up front here. I am self-employed, and my place of employment is also not only my house, but my bedroom is where I have the home office installed. So I do not have any real pressure on that side, other than the fact that my clients are going to expect me to be reachable and hopefully working at 9 o'clock. I am also a separated, I was going to say sugar daddy. I'm a separated father, and so I have my children exactly half the time. So on those days, I do have not only school, but other human beings kind of poking me and getting me going and pushing me in the right direction. So this applies a little bit less because those days, thus the podcast to learn to talk better. On those days, I tend to just hop up and get breakfast ready for the kids, get them dressed, eat if I've got time within all of that, and then get them to school and then deal with other things when I get back. But the morning routine does sometimes come into play, can be helpful. But all that is just to let you know that this is basically for the days where I don't have the kids and I don't have to go anywhere for work or any other kind of appointments. So, what I was saying is my brain, and only for the last year or two, my brain wakes me up super early every morning. My whole life, I was one of those sleepy people. Long-haired sleepy people need not. That would have a really hard time getting up, sleep as late as I possibly could, and then just kind of get some water and some stuff and then just go. And could literally basically wake up and get out of bed and then be walking out of my door 6 to 8 minutes later, if the place I was going had coffee. I also drink coffee every morning. 1 year I was living further away and I wasn't self-employed at that point. I was driving into the office and I had a 40-minute commute, and every day I had my little cup of coffee that I made at home and I brought it with me in the car, and I was smoking back then, so I was and that was when I was not a morning person, as we say. I was sleeping, and on the weekends I could sleep and sleep and sleep. 9, 10, 11 o'clock in the afternoon. Not in the afternoon, in the morning. That doesn't exist 11 o'clock in the afternoon. I was that guy that would just sleep. And when the weekends came around, it was sleeping in. That is over. That is no longer the case. Now my brain has decided that not only am I going to not quite pop awake, but become awake at about 6:30 every morning, but I'm also pretty quickly going to have the brain switch into overdrive, which means I wake up. Sometimes you could call it anxiety. Sometimes it's just the brain is going. Sometimes I actually feel like I'm watching, what is it, like one of those old movies where there's like the film has just gotten to the end, and so it's pluck, 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 pluck. And so it's just, but it's, where that one's, that's the same image. This one is just like image, 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 image. Like my brain is actually trying to just like overdose on thoughts. So that's a fun way to wake up every single day. And what I've actually found, and part of the routine is going to bed early when I can get myself to do it, and not doing all the night stuff that I would normally do to keep myself up, watching Netflix, looking at stuff on the internet, looking at YouTube, or playing online chess. Not doing that stuff at night. And then, because that way if I get to sleep at 9:30, 10, when 6:30 rolls around, I actually got a decent night's sleep. And then, since the wake up time is set, I might as well, I have to adjust the go to bed time to make that work. And so what happens is then, because I am now awake at 6:30, or if I go to sleep at 9, which has happened, I will wake up at 4. Because my brain has decided you'll get the minimum amount of sleep that your body needs, and then we need to get back at it. So at that point, I've actually found that doing my phone stuff in the morning actually helps calm the distraction in my brain, whatever anxiety or whatever that may be, or just the overloading. Also, I think everybody knows about what do they say? It's the blue light from your telephone. Do not do that before you go to bed, because the blue light kills your, I was going to say serotonin, isn't it? Melatonin? Whichever chemical it is in your brain that makes you sleep. The blue light is not good for that. So by doing that in the morning, you're actually telling your brain, sleep is over and the day's going to be coming. So I will actually lie in bed and in the morning I'm not watching a Netflix series, but I'll kind of do the checklist of checking the news, the weather, look at my calendar, all the stuff they say you're not supposed to do. I may look at a little bit of YouTube if I'm feeling wily. That's rare. And then I'll usually finish with a game of online chess, just because I like to. That's kind of the most settling thing I can do, where I actually really focuses my brain on one thing. And then if I lose that game in a really stupid way because I just blundered a piece, then I might have to do another one and get my brain into a place that's actually focused and working. And then the morning routine. Why a morning routine, you ask? Well, basically because I found myself in the morning being a little bit out of it and kind of just standing in the kitchen and not even really wondering what I was supposed to do. Just kind of standing there and maybe finding a thing. And so what I actually did, I don't have it with me, I made a list and it's super simple. It starts with water. And so when I wake up, I'm that out of it. I come up into the little living room, kitchen, one room that has it all. And if I don't immediately think of it, I look at the list and I say, oh yeah, just have a big old honking glass of cold mountain spring water straight out of the tap. That gives me the time when I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm just standing there drinking a glass of water. That's what you're supposed to be doing. A lot of times in the morning, you're just standing there and you're like, am I supposed to be doing something? Isn't this supposed to be going in a direction? So in that time, I have time to familiarize myself with the list. This is all basically true. And what I'll also do, since I'm not just chugging the water all at once, I have a couple sips and then I feed the dog. So I get the water, I get the food, dog's happy, that's done. Once I have finished with one big old glass of water, I fill it up again and I go off and start my old person morning stretching routine, which is basically just touching my toes, sunrise salute, moving back and forth to try and get a little bit of the torso area. I used to call that the core now. A little bit loosened up. We'll do some shoulder stuff. I've added, since they say that you'll live forever if you can balance on one foot, I've added that, where I just stand on one foot for 10 seconds for each one. Normally I do all this out on my balcony, outside. Even today was, I don't know, in Fahrenheit, maybe 40, 45 degrees. But go outside, you get a little bit of that, little bit of the coldness wakes you up as well, and you're moving, so it works out well. I also have an amazing view of the whole valley in front of me and then the mountains on the other side. So that's a nice place to do my morning stretching. I've added some light calisthenics, I believe they're called. I do incline push-ups, which basically means instead of push-ups like this, where I'm against the ground, I do them against the railing. So a thing like this. And so then I kind of push up and down like that. They're much easier because I have found recently, I just did a challenge for another video on my other channel of 50 push-ups a day for 50 days. And I can't, well, at the beginning of that anyway, I couldn't do real push-ups. So, oh, and then at the end of that challenge, I realized that I hate push-ups and I'm not strong enough and they're really, really hard. So I just went back to doing the inclines because that's basically what I want to do, is get the blood flowing in the shoulders and then get some calisthenic benefits of doing daily body weight exercises. So I do that, and then I found a way to I do some squats, but just standing squats with no weight. And then I found a way to do what is called, I believe, a lat pull down. There was a machine I was fond of at the gym when I was working out before, a long time ago. And basically, this is because, again, I couldn't do just pull-ups. It's a machine where you're doing exactly the same movement, but with a weight that's less than your full body weight on it. So I found a way to do those. That is my stretching. I call that stretching. That's kind of the whole morning workout. Takes maybe 15 minutes, something like that. And then breakfast. Breakfast for me is usually peaches and toast. I get at my local bakery, if I buy 3 baguettes, I get 1 for free. A baguette is $1.10. And so for €3 and change, I get 4 baguettes. I usually eat one of them the first day, put the other 3 in the freezer. So every morning I pop out maybe half a baguette. I actually am lazy, so I don't warm it up in the oven. I microwave it for 40 seconds, cut it in half and toast it. Salted butter from the farm is about 300 yards from my house. And then peach jam, something I prefer, I quite enjoy. I'll put some almonds with that, get a little bit of protein. And I usually make a smoothie every morning. Now the smoothie is mango and raspberries that I get in bags, flash frozen from the supermarket. Bananas, I get bananas every couple of days, and then whatever, as they get a little bit skeevy, I slice them and throw them in a bag. And then this year, in front of my house, we have 5 fruit trees, and we get a ton of apples, which we turn into cider. We've got another farm over there that has the press and presses those into cider for us. Cherry tree, which usually in the end of springtime gives us a ton of cherries. This year did not, strangely enough. But this year, the tree that, we've only been here for 3 years. And so this was the first summer that the plum tree just woke up and went crazy. We picked maybe 10% of the plums, and I filled 2 huge bags, Ziploc bags of them. My kid actually did it. I think I gave him $1 a bag. It's a good deal in any case. And so he picked them, cut them in half, got the pits out, and then we froze those. And it's been at least 3 months, probably 4, like 3.5 months. And I've gone through one of those Ziploc bags. So, especially because if you do smoothies or have ever looked at frozen fruit in the frozen food aisle of your local supermarket or Piggly Wiggly, then you know the stuff is super expensive. It's like $8 a bag for the mangoes and the raspberries. And that's where I am. It's probably 12 where you are. Sorry about the little cough. It's that time of year. So then I do my breakfast. Peaches and toast, some almonds, walnuts, pecans, whatever I got. Smoothie. That kind of gets me going. And then after that, I clean. If the kitchen table and the kitchen are not spiffy, then I get all that cleaned up, because it starts to get away from me. Sometimes it's not worth doing everything if I've just got a dish or two, so you put it in the sink. And sometimes by the next morning, if I didn't do it before going to bed, then the next morning it's going to be about half full and starting to look kind of janky. And it also, because my kitchen is super small, super practical, and I have a half dishwasher, it's the same width of what you're thinking of, but it doesn't go all the way to the floor. It's just half of a cupboard space, and it's up top, and it's amazing. If you have a chance to get one of these, there's only 3 of us here, so it works out beautifully. But because it's at the top part of the whatever counter thing, it's not the counter, it's the cupboard. Yeah, the bottom cupboard. When it's open and you pull the tray out, it's right there. You've only got the top tray. So you're not bending all the way down to the floor to put stuff in it. And it takes about a minute to 2 minutes to empty and not much longer to fill. So I can go through the dishes in like 4 or 5 minutes. Every time I'm like, I don't want to do the dishes, like just get started. It'll be over in 4 minutes. And it literally is. Once over on the sink, counters. That way my world is clean, organized, and I've pretty much gone through all the stuff that I need to do. I'll head downstairs, brush my teeth, and then I grab the leash and I take the dog for a walk. And so the last thing I do as part of my routine is try and get outside and continue getting the blood flowing with a decent, at least, 15-20 minute walk. If I get an early start, I'll go for an hour. From here I can just go and be up in the mountains and just keep going. And then the last thing is, in normal times, not the end times that we seem to be living through right now, you also get a little bit of sunshine, a little bit of vitamin D, which is nice. It's a fantastic way to start your day. Unfortunately, it has been raining for about 8 weeks. And up until last week, it's still been cloudy every single day, except for one. But up until last week, it was literally raining for 6.5, 7 weeks straight. Every time I'd go outside, I would just mock the skies because it was always raining. A few times, and I go out at least twice a day with the dog walks, but a few times I actually went out and it wasn't raining, but then it would start raining on me before I got back, and usually when I was, 10 minutes gone. So that's not the vitamin D, the sunshine is nothing that we're getting now, but eventually the sun will probably come back. So that's a nice day, a nice way to start the day. And so basically when I come back from that dog walk, I've had the time on the dog walk, which is also a great way to clear your mind and start to get focused on what you actually need to be doing. And then when I come back from that dog walk, everything's done. Everything that just kind of the maintenance, everyday stuff that needs to happen is done. And I can go and sit down immediately at my desk and get to work, or head out and do shopping or anything else that I've got to do. Everything's been taken care of. And also just starting your day after a nice walk outside. And nice walk, I mean, like I said, I did 85, 90% of the last ones in the rain. I've got an old style felt brimmed hat, which is like your own little personal umbrella, which is fantastic. I much prefer it to a hood. I almost never bring an actual umbrella, just rain gear and then the hat, and that's it. And it's just a fantastic way to start the morning. And like I said, get from the point where I'm standing in the kitchen just staring at a wall, wondering what I'm supposed to be doing, to everything that needs to be done being done, and I'm ready to attack the day. Now, talking about that brimmed hat just reminded me of the kind of the special bonus for people watching on video today. Normally I what's that called? I recommend against watching the video format because I am so physically repugnant myself, and also the video experience is so incredibly banal that I really think that it's not anything that people really want to watch. Of course, it's not anything they want to listen to either. But that being said, for those who are watching today, there was the Christmas market at my kid's school. There is a little old lady who lives up in the mountains who spends her time knitting. And all of that is to say that I have a new hand knit wool hat. And this is insane. I got one from her last year, and specifically went back to get another one because she sells these for 20 euros. Handmade. This thing is knit like a rug. It is like that thick and pure wool. Somehow she finds wool yarn that is not itchy because it's not merino or super high-end wool. Not for 20 bucks a hat. She couldn't even buy the wool for 20 bucks. So it's pretty friggin' fancy that I've got this new hat, which actually reminds me this is something completely different. But I don't usually, on this channel, I don't do any plugging because I don't expect anybody to watch these. And I totally don't expect anybody to want to support this channel because it's terrible. But if somebody is interested in getting their hands on one of these hand knit hats from her name is Million, like a million bucks. That's her family name. If anybody is interested in getting one of these, you can head over to my Patreon, which maybe I'll put a link. I probably won't, but you can find it, Awkward Genius on Patreon. And for those who pledge, I believe it's $100 or $1,000. I think it's $1,000 a month. Like the people that basically are just going to be my sugar daddy and take me under their wing. Basically, I set it up for Conan O'Brien. I figured he could afford it, and basically anyone who's can give me $1,000 a month, that's my house payment, and I can focus on this almost full time. And all that I'm saying all that because the reward, most of the rewards for my Patreon patrons are very simple. It's maybe you get some videos ahead of time, but especially since right now I have 3 of them, it's not something that I want to spend a ton of time creating content for. And for me, Patreon is not really a way to create a 2-tier system of like you people are better than those other non-paying people. It's really just a way for people who have the cheddar to spread it on, and if they can spread it on thick, they get a hat. So I think that was important and needed saying. Now I'm going to finish this episode with the Awkward Genius advice to you. Today it is incredibly banal and interesting at the same time, which is a bit of an oxymoron. I do understand, but it's I didn't really have much more than just the advice to get a morning routine. Not necessarily mine, although I would recommend sticking with the smoothie because they're good. But having some kind of routine in the morning and literally making a list that you pop on the fridge. I color-coded mine with the kids' magic markers. Water in blue and then stretching in orange, or whatever it is. And it really helps me kind of get through my morning. I don't do coffee anymore, so I'm thinking of people, they get their coffee and it's just nice to sit. That's true, and put coffee on your list, and while you're drinking your coffee, I think that's why you get that image of people, sitting with their coffees and then warming up their hands, is because it takes a while to drink. So if you've got, coffee in your morning every single morning, that means you've got 10-15 minutes where you're not doing much else. You're kind of waiting for it to cool and drinking this super hot beverage, and that's a really nice part of your day if you're still doing that. I will maybe tomorrow, because I'm really trying to pop these out as often as possible so that at some point I do start to see some progress in my ability to talk. Maybe tomorrow I will talk about why I no longer drink coffee. Or maybe not. Anyway, that's going to be the end of this episode. I don't want to edit the video at all. I'm just going to keep talking and until I can come around here and turn it off. This video is over. You should go now. Goodbye.